Welcome everyone to another Archie Sonic comic review, and today we're looking at issue 32. As I said in my issue 31 review, our heroes will be dealing with not only a Mobian caveman, but Sonic's robotic dog Muttski, who was roboticized at the same time as Uncle Chuck. 2 issues earlier, Uncle Chuck was mentally freed from Robotnik's control. Will Muttski also be free since he makes a prominent appearance in this issue? Only one way to find out. The Freedom Fighters are ambushed on a mountaintop by SWAT bots. As they try to escape, they wonder how they're being tracked. The answer appears right in front of them: Muttski the robotic dog. Sonic tries to get his former dog to remember him, and it seems to work. However, Muttski turns around and leaves with the SWAT bots. Uncle Chuck soon appears and reveals that he sent a disengaged signal to the SWAT bots. He's still able to use some of Robotnik's codes and equipment. He warns Sonic about Muttski picking up his scent and calling the robotic dog his most dangerous foe. Sonic doesn't believe Muttski could do this. Well, that was the old Muttski. The new Muttski under Robotnik's control can. Antoine suggests leaving while they have the chance. But in typical Antoine fashion, he stumbles down the hill and he winds up in front of a frozen Mobian caveman. Or bear in this case. Uncle Chuck identifies him as a Mobius Muttski sapiens, and Tails suggests calling him Moby for short. Good, because I don't want to say that long name over and over again. Rotor believes the ice preserved him, and wants to take him back to Knothole to try and revive him. Luckily, they have Robotnik's glaciator from back in issue 26. Hooray for continuity! Rotor's been studying it, and learns that it can reverse the freezing process. He's adjusted it to melt the ice around Moby, but the process will take days. As Sonic prepares to leave, he accidentally bumps into the glaciator and cranked up the heat. Fortunately, it just melted the ice, and Moby is alive. And he's definitely not a morning person. He goes on a brief rampage around Knothole until Bunny places him on a tree branch for the time being. Everyone debates on how to deal with Moby, with Rotor chiming in that Moby seeing their modern setting is a shock to him, and hopefully after adjusting, he'll calm down. Bunny remembers seeing a paintbrush when they first discovered Moby, and figured he's an artist. Perhaps communicating through art will yield better results. In case you missed it, the earlier panel where they found the frozen Moby showed that he did indeed have a paintbrush. When Bunny presents a drawing of Moby, Sonic, and herself to try and point out that they're friends, all it does is remind Moby of his family and makes a beeline back to the mountain cave where he was first found. Sonic's glad to be rid of him until it's pointed out that Robotnik's forces would still be in the area, meaning Sonic begrudgingly has to play hero. After some searching, Sonic comes across Moby surrounded by SWAT bots. One Sonic Spin tornado takes them out, but leaves Sonic dizzy and he collides into a nearby wall. The unconscious Sonic is now vulnerable to an approaching Muttski. Moby comes to Sonic's rescue, thanks to him swinging down on a rope. This leads to Muttski hitting the wall. Before Moby can finish off Muttski, Sonic stops him and uses Bunny's idea of communicating with art. Moby gets the message and hands Muttski over to Sonic. Uncle Chuck manages to restore Muttski's mind to normal and has a solution for Moby. Relocate him to a Mobian jungle where he'll feel more at home. Sonic wants Muttski to say goodbye to Moby by giving him his paw. Being a robot, he does this literally. And this is the end of the story. Similar to issue 31, there is a short Knuckles tale that I will deal with when I review the Knuckles miniseries down the line, and there's also the conclusion of Rotor's tale that began last time. Like I said, his story has enough material for its own separate review, which may be the next Archie Sonic thing I do on this channel. Again, keep an eye out for it. It took a little longer than Uncle Chuck, but Sonic finally got his dog back. Just like Uncle Chuck, Muttski appeared in Sat AM, the pilot episode Heads or Tails to be precise, and briefly got his mind back. And I do mean briefly, as moments later, his mind reverted back to killer robot mode. Sonic swore to one day get him back. Sadly, outside of a photo, Heads or Tails was Muttski's only appearance in the series. At the very least, writer Angelo granted one version of Sonic his dog back. Getting there wasn't easy though. A nice little touch is Bunny being unfamiliar with Sonic's robotic dog. It's a reminder that Bunny was not originally from the Mobotropolis/Knothole area, and it serves as a convenient way for Sonic to explain the deal with his dog for the sake of the readers. Some might not have read the original miniseries or any of the earlier issues beforehand. Another interesting moment involving Bunny is Moby's rampage. Antoine was ready to defend Sally with his life until the Rabot intervened. 1. This is another example of Angelo giving Antoine some dignity by showing that he's not all that cowardly. And 2, and this is with the benefit of hindsight, it shows that while Antoine did have a crush on Sally, we're reminded that Bunny has a crush on Antoine. She shows this in her own way by making sure the coyote doesn't wind up as paste on Moby's club, just like she secretly helped him out when he went to retrieve that power ring in Robotropolis. We'll talk more about this relationship down the line. For now, let's focus on the main subject of the issue, Moby the Cave Bear, and our hero's reaction to his presence. I'm on the side of Rotor and Bunny. Moby was more than likely frightened at the sight of modern times, and trying to communicate through drawing seemed like the right idea. But I do have to say, Angelo really turned Sonic's jerk attitude up to 11. Being cautious is one thing, but to treat a scared, intelligent for his day being like something you stepped in is another. I mean, he figured out how to save Sonic after all. For all we know, in his day, Moby could have been the equivalent of Leonardo da Vinci. Though I guess part of the reason for Sonic's increased jerk attitude was that he failed to save Muttski in the beginning. He's emotionally compromised. It makes sense from an in-universe perspective, but still Sonic was so much of a jerk this issue that he was reluctant to save Moby from the SWAT bots at first. His attitude towards Moby does get better, thanks to Moby saving him from Muttski and helping him get his dog back. He even utilizes the communications through drawing method to break the ice. Metaphorically, that is. It helps that Moby's image of his lost family includes a dog, so he more than likely understood that Sonic's also a dog owner. The concept of a Mobian caveman makes sense thanks to the Tales miniseries establishing some of Mobius's history, complete with a dinosaur age similar to the one on Earth, both of which ended in disaster. Funny considering certain revelations about Mobius down the line, but I'm getting a bit off topic. Naturally, Mobians would appear starting at the caveman era and moving upward from there. I doubt that was the intention, but it makes sense to me. And for those wondering, no, I'm not counting the time Sonic went back in time to meet caveman versions of himself and his friends. I'm more convinced now that that was actually an alternate universe. And it's all thanks to the establishment of different Sonic variants in issue 19. I believe Sonic the Bog Hog is one of them. In the end, this was an okay adventure, with a little world building and another big change to the status quo, with Sonic getting his dog back, thus finally completing his original miniseries objective. Sort of. They are still robots, but mentally, Muttski and Uncle Chuck are back to normal, and that's something. Moby the Cave Bear will return down the line, as his new home in the Mobian jungle already has some occupants. But that's something for another day. Our next issue, number 33, will have Sonic take a fantastic voyage. We'll find out more next time. Odd that Uncle Chuck stated that he could not restore Muttski to an actual flesh and blood dog. He probably has a few screws loose, because he forgot he too is a robot that doesn't have immediate access to a de-roboticizer.